If anyone's questioning whether James Gunn has a handle on things over at Warner Brothers and DC right now, I think this latest headline will actually remove all doubt in their minds. So this article right here from Variety came out August 2nd, so just last week. Gal Gadot on Wonder Woman 3. What I heard from James Gunn and Peter Safran is that we're going to develop it together. Oh, really? That was exciting. I mean, I did a video about it when it came out. I love portraying Wonder Woman, Gadot said when asked about the third movie. It's so close to and dear to my heart. From what I heard from James and from Peter is that we're going to develop a Wonder Woman 3 together. So that's actually big news, and that's why I made a video about it, because for a while it was believed that Wonder Woman 3 was dead in the water because they fired Patty Jenkins, who was developing it with Gal Gadot. But then she said, like, oh, well, no, I'm working on it with James Gunn and Peter Safran, so we're going to develop a Wonder Woman movie. And now we're getting this new headline right here from today, August 10th. Wonder Woman 3 won't fly in the new DC universe despite Gal Gadot teasing development plans. I mean, that's a pretty big difference right there. I mean, just last week she said, yeah, we're doing it. And now they come out a week later and say, no, that's actually not going to happen. Gadot first suggested that Wonder Woman 3 might not be fully dead in an interview with comicbook.com. And yeah, so I love portraying Wonder Woman, she said. It's so close and dear to my heart. From what I've heard from James and from Peter is that we're going to develop Wonder Woman 3 together. So like I read in the other article, so the same thing. The actor made the potential future for Wonder Woman 3 appear even more likely during a recently published profile by Flaunt magazine. So yeah, it's talking about what happened and what she said in those interviews. I was invited to a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, Gadot said, and what they told me, and I'm quoting, "You're in the best hands. We're going to develop Wonder Woman 3 with you. We love you as Wonder Woman. You've got nothing to worry about. So time will tell." And you can either take this two ways. Either Gal Gadot is lying about this meeting and she was just trying to put this out into the public in hope that it would kind of pressure them into keeping her on. Or they did tell her this and maybe they had plans for her, maybe they don't, or maybe they're just trying to keep her quiet or so she won't make a fuss about things like that. Who knows what's going on there? But either way, I mean, this is kind of a bad sign when you have the actor of one of their movies, one of their big franchise movies, saying like, oh yeah, we're going to do a sequel. And then you have to come out a week later and say that it's not going to happen. And this is also detrimental for the timing of everything right now too, because James Gunn's presence in the DCEU has kind of shaken things up with the legacy characters who are already involved with this, because a lot of people watch these movies because these characters are specifically part of a shared universe. But when James Gunn came in and announced basically the slate of movies that he wants to do, well, then it kind of causes a rift when you say like, well, what about these legacy characters who aren't involved with it now? I mean, this is what James Gunn said that he wanted to do, all the list of things. I mean, he did say the Matt Reeves movies are kind of like, or part of their own thing. Joker is another thing. It's kind of something separate. So within the actual like canonical DCEU, you got Blue Beetle and Aquaman are still the legacy holdovers from before James Gunn took over. And then James Gunn even came out and said Superman Legacy will be the start of his movies. And a lot of people were questioning that too, because at the time you still had the Flash slated to come out. You had Shazam, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman still haven't come out. And now after we see the Shazam and the Flash just tank at the box office and lose hundreds of millions of dollars for Warner Brothers, they've been trying to backtrack on this and say like, well, no, these part of the universe with James Gunn. Also, no, I mean, we got this one right here. This is from June 3rd. I've had to make adjustments. Aquaman 2 was changed to fit DC or Gunn's DCU, says James Wan, the director of Aquaman 2. And because that's one of those movies where people were like, well, is this going to be a part of it? So James Wan's trying to say like, well, we had to shift stuff around, but yeah, we're going to put it in the DCEU, which I really doubt that's going to be the case after all this. And then we had this from the Blue Beetle director, June 22nd. Blue Beetle director confirms it as part of James Gunn's DCU and a trilogy of movies. All right, that sounds good. But what says James Gunn confirms Blue Beetle is not part of the current DCEU. And when was this article published here? June 23rd, literally a day later, James Gunn has to come out and contradict the director of this. And then this is even more recent, July 12th, James Gunn addresses Blue Beetle's future in DCEU. And in this article, he basically says, yeah, it's part of it. And the only difference is this came out after The Flash came out, which means the Warner Brothers executives probably went to James Gunn and be like, hey, you need to try to get people to think that Blue Beetle and these other future movies like Aquaman are going to be a part of the future. Otherwise, people aren't going to want to see them. And that's kind of what he's been trying to do since then, and been trying to like more or less play coy about it, like non-committal. And more or less the best answer that we got now is like, if these movies are successful, then yeah, we'll be crazy not to put them in there, but they're not going to be part of like his original plan. We'll try to fit them in if they're successful enough. And that's a big if, but I mean, again, I don't think fans are going to want to support a movie just in the hopes that you'll decide to put it in later. I mean, in a way, James Gunn's presence just kind of killed things over at DC. And I don't necessarily blame him entirely. I mean, he has been handling it pretty badly with the way that, like with these messaging right here, not basically getting things clear. But that's also a problem with the Warner Brothers executives as well, and not basically relaying everything between all the directors and other creatives over there, because they're basically all telling mixed messages. I mean, like you got Gal Gadot saying one thing, you got the director of Blue Beetle saying another thing, James Gunn saying something else, and no one is clear about what's going on. And that was the problem with the DCEU just from the get-go, is because you really didn't have a clear path of what they're trying to do. I mean, you made Superman, that was okay, or at least it did okay, and they're like, okay, we're going to launch our movie universe now, so let's get Batman and Wonder Woman in there, basically call it Dawn of Justice, basically go straight from Iron Man to Avengers instead of having to develop every character entirely, because they had no plan. And after like a decade of doing this and just kind of fumbling around and barely making any profit off of it, they're like, let's just try to reboot the whole universe. And they're now they're pretty much doing the whole same mistake again. I mean, they got someone more competent in charge now, but I mean, assuming that they actually follow through on everything, I don't think that there's actually still going to work, because it seems like they're having the same problems right now. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.